Well, after a bunch of football talk, we're going to move over and do a little baseball talk with one of the great coaches in Arkansas history, Dave Jorn, former Arkansas pitching coach. He has authored More Than Baseball, which is an autobiography about his life and career. There's a launch party at Paul Walker Stadium this Saturday. DaveJorn.com is the website. Jorny, you've even got your own website, man. It's like I barely know you anymore. How you doing?
Oh, Phil, I'm doing great, but I did not put that website together, as you may well have guessed.
So people always, they'll probably say to you a few times, you've had an interesting life, you've had an interesting career, you probably should write a book about it. How many times did somebody say that to you until you finally decided, yeah, I'm going to do it? And how long did it take to write this? Because you've had quite a life.
Yeah, it took over a year, but that was really mostly because I wasn't that motivated to do it. I mean, actually, when I got started on this thing, I'm like, who really would care about reading about what I have done in my life? I mean, I just didn't see it, and it was cleared up to me by some different people, and especially, with the Lord being in my life and where I'm at with that right now. I mean, I thought, and hoping and praying that, there can be some influence to some people in this book.
Well, and I know that's part of the main theme to this book was a major change in your life that occurred. If I'm missing on the timing, let me know. Like 15, 16 years ago. And I mean, you've had an interesting career, you've had an interesting life and everything. It just feels like from when I've gotten to know you, what made the change in your life and how have you changed as a person when that happened?
Well, I mean, 2004, we had just gone to the College World Series, and you talk about one miserable man. I mean, I was not a happy man. I mean, I had gotten here in the summer of 2002 and was involved in a bad marriage. And, most of my life had been about me, about what I can accomplish and, trying to be a major league pitching coach. That was the goal, and just, doing whatever I thought I needed to do to attain that. And I was just a broken man after that, and just reached out and asked the Lord to come into my life, and it just freed me up and made me appreciate people and everybody else besides myself, and just to have a lot more love in my life. And it was just a major change.
Baseball can be a real grind. I mean, it really can be. And it sounds like, along with maybe other things that had happened, was it that the grind kind of gotten to you if you hadn't reached where you thought you wanted to be? And was that one of the reasons that you thought that maybe you were broken and didn't feel like you were the man that you'd like to be?
No, it really didn't have anything to do with baseball. I mean, it was like, I don't know, a pastor talked in church a couple of Sundays ago on a sermon, and it was interesting because I had given my testimony in our Sunday school class that morning. And he had talked about getting an I for incomplete on one of his grade cards. And that just resonated with me because my whole life, I had a big I in my heart. I was always searching for something that was missing and trying to fill that with whatever I could, possessions or whatever, and it just never worked. There's never any peace or joy or real happiness in my life until I accepted Christ.
That is great. You're great there, Coach. It's a personal journey. And you talked about how you didn't think you had anything that people would want to read. Well, everybody's got a great story, and it's all about getting it out there and letting your story be known. And one way that people do that is obviously like you did by like writing a book. What was the process of that? You said it took about a year, but there's a lot more into it than just sitting down at a computer, writing it out, and then saying, done, all right, everybody go read it. Like, it is a pretty big process, isn't it?
It is. And I don't think I would have written it, had I had to do all those things. But my my publisher, my editor, I don't know what you're going to call him, my friend, we just sat down like one Thursday a week for about 6 or 7 weeks, and there was a phone number that we called into, and he asked questions. I told things about my life. I mean, it was in and out. I mean, didn't seem like there was any continuity to it, so we had to figure that out at the end. But, once all that was completed, it was transcribed on paper. And so that was easy. That was the easy part, just sitting down and doing voice recordings. But then the hard part was trying to get it all put in order and edited and all that stuff, and that took quite a while.
And I don't want to give the book away because I'm excited to read it. I'm definitely going to get myself a copy. But how do you end a story that hasn't ended? I mean, you're still obviously live and well and with us. How do you end a life story that's still being written?
Well, I mean, hopefully, we can have another book come out because, I never ever intended for this book to be for monetary gain for myself. I mean, really what our plan is, and it's a lofty goal. We want to sell 1 million books. And I know that sounds like a ton of books, and it is a ton, but I think if the Lord's involved with that, it's possible. But I want to start a foundation, and I'm not sure what kind of foundation yet. I mean, that's not been revealed to me yet, but I want to be able to help some people.
Dave, you retired from Arkansas after the 2016 season, but you didn't leave baseball. You're still scouting. And you've scouted before. You've managed. You've been a pitching coach at college and in the minors as well. Do you miss coaching at all?
I miss the kids. I still miss them. The coaching part of it and everything that went into all that and all those things, I don't miss that very much anymore. But I do miss the relationship and the impact that you can have on young kids' lives and being able to teach them, about life along with baseball. So, yeah, that I do miss.
A lot of baseball stories in the book, too. I mean, you can't spend as many years as you have in this game without really entertaining baseball stories and personalities to talk about. Yeah, there's some stories in there, and, like in the I don't know even what I'm calling it, the prelude or whatever, but I mean there's so much has gone on since 1976 when I signed professionally and just transitioned into coaching after 1981. So there's been so many years have gone by and so many people have been involved in my life that it's impossible to put it all in a book. So but we do have some stories in there. In fact, at the launch, 2 of my former players in the 80s, and Clay Goodwin, Norm DeBryan, and Coach Van Horn, they're all 5 of those guys are going to tell a little story. So that's great. That sounds really fun to read. You're scouting. Have scouts been devalued in the world of professional baseball?
I guess that depends on which organization you're with. Some organizations do not even have that many scouts anymore. They're going more for, watching video, looking at numbers, processing numbers, analytics, all that type of thing. Other organizations do value the experience, the eye. I mean, there's just a lot of things that I think that you can't get from even watching game film and the analytics. Like, for instance, I remember, there was one pitcher that I really liked, and I think the Rays kind of discounted him and threw him out because he had too many walks. And, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, he's got some walks, but he's not wild. I mean, he's not scattering the ball all over the place. Everything he does is good. He's got solid delivery. He's got excellent arm action. Maybe he's trying to be too fine with his pitches. I don't know. Plus, he racked up a bunch of base on balls earlier in the season. The second half, he didn't throw that many base on balls. So what I'm getting at is you can't just look at the numbers. You know, there's a reason behind everything, and if you can process it all, you know, I think you're much better off. So in the long run, I guess my answer would be, you know, there's a place for all the analytical stuff, but it's not all about that.
Yeah. What I'm hearing you saying is here sometimes we might play or coach to the analytics a little bit too much. You know, the velocity, the launch angle, the RPM, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And there is no analytic that tells you how coachable somebody is, how willing they are to adjust to what they know how to do or think they know how to do. The analytics don't tell you about the person at all.
No, they don't. I mean, the physical stuff is easy to see, but it's the aptitude, it's the competitiveness. You know, how do guys respond when it's not going their way? You know, the intangible stuff, the work ethic. I mean, just, you know, the interaction with teammates. You know, I mean, how do his teammates feel about him? And you know, those are winning attributes. So I mean, those are the things that the analytics are definitely not going to tell you.
All right, so this is what I wanted to finish on. Bubba Carpenter told me that you were the toughest batting practice pitcher of his entire life. That it was like you were trying to strike these guys out sometimes or break their bats and they were using metal bats. Dave, why were you such a tough batting practice pitcher? Did you just refuse to throw it down the middle and couldn't throw it straight and narrow?
That's a bad rap, Bubba. I mean, come on, that's just a bad rap. Okay, here's the deal. These guys think that you're trying to get them out, but hey, my entire life I'm a sinker ball pitcher. And they're telling me, hey, you're throwing sinkers, 2 seamers up there. I go, look, I'm holding the ball across the seam. I'm throwing a 4-seamer, but my arm slot and where my hand position on the ball is, it just naturally sinks. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to get you out, but at the same time, if you can be challenged like that in a batting practice situation versus somebody laying one right down Main Street for you, it might make you a little bit better hitter.
Uh-huh.
That's true.
That's true about that.
I mean, they're getting that room service in BP. You know, you watch Clay Goodwin throw BP or Bobby Warners or Dave Van Horn. You watch those guys throw BP, and it's on a tee right there.
Clay is who I would choose if I'm at a home run. Then I don't hit home runs; I hit ground balls. But if I was strong enough and big enough to hit home runs, Clay's my home run derby pitcher. Because you're right about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So once in a while, how bad is it for somebody to come in there and sink it a little bit and see if you can, you know, and make some adjustments in that swing. You can't swing the same plane every swing if you want to be able to hit.
Yep. There's some guys that like their steak center cut. They like their fastball center cut, and some pitchers that just refuse to throw it there no matter what.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon Finals, Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet online, where the game starts.